To the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan, and today it might be a short one. Spencer has his own reasons, but I also got mine. I don't know how long I could fucking sit for, because last night, don't take this the wrong way, I got my ass broken.
Did you get beat up?
Kinda.
Get mugged?
Kinda, yeah, so...
Get raped?
By gravity, yeah. Gravity straight up raw dogged me. Basically, I went out with a group of friends. I haven't done this since like the fucking third or fourth grade. It was bringing back bad memories of a birthday party. But I was from then. But I was
one of those ones where there's some kid like at 3 a.m. like, come on guys, fucking stay up. Come on, you faggot, get up, you stupid idiots.
No,
and it's just like, shut the fuck up. And then somebody ends up like kicking that kid fucking off the bed, and he goes flying to the wall, and then he gets all like pissy. One of those incidents.
And then like they call his mom like at 2:00 in the morning, like Billy can't come over again, because of this shit or whatever. I haven't really.
But do you ever remember like there was some kid always back in about like around 3rd to like 8th grade or so. And the strange thing about this kid is sometimes he didn't even fucking go to the same school that anybody else did, but he was like friends of like one person. But he was just a total ass to everybody. And you kind of even wondered why he was there in the first place.
Yeah, I think we all had a couple friends like that when we were kids. Like, there'd be the kid that just like...
Was my fucking friend, but there was just like... Well, I could just think of people like
you call him a friend just because it was just someone to hang out with. Like, all right, yeah, he had similar interests. And there's like, okay, there's the kid across the streets. Fuck him. I don't really like him. He doesn't like me either, but I'm bored. So is he. So we're going to play some video games. We're going to play Smash Brothers or whatever. Then there's the kid. Then there's the kid who's just kind of more of an acquaintance. And he happens to come along. You see him at other people's parties, and then once in a while you'd go, oh, okay, he can come too, I guess, whatever. And then like this was a mistake. Yeah, you kind of had that kid. But this is more of one of those parties where it's just like it was like we were roller skating. I haven't roller skated since like the 4th grade.
Roller skating at a rink, or roller skating out in like public?
In a rink.
Okay, at least that's a little bit safer because, the second that you get on the street and you haven't done it, you're like, oh, fuck, there's cracks everywhere and rocks.
Exactly. So we're going down. There's actually, down in, like, Haight-Ashbury, around that area, there is the Church of 8 Wheels, which is this old cool-looking church that got converted into a public skating rink, which is pretty cool. And went down there, and the first, I was just meeting up with some friends, with Wes and some other people. And not going to lie, first few times it was literally just baby steps. And then there's the guy who runs the thing, who's this cool old black guy who's kind of my Ben Kenobi. He kind of like,
and he's like going around fast, skating backwards.
He could. He had
a
cape. He had like a Cat in the hat. He was old, had beard. He says like, feet apart like this, baby steps. And then I'm like, okay. And he was kind of going with me for a minute. Then as soon as I turned behind, he's like way back there. He's like, he left us. But then as it went on, though, kind of figured it out.
Some guy runs up to you, that's not what I'm going to do.
Oh, awesome. Then he's like, oh, fuck, he's kidnapping me. No.
Oh, God, that Paul Diddy story's coming to life.
So basically then, like, I'm actually kind of getting it. And then this happened 2 times. At some point, I did the whoa, just like feet up front, back, landing on my fucking ass, and then just.
Now, here, let me ask something really quickly. Are you doing roller blades or roller skates?
Skates.
I fucking hate roller skates. I remember because like I did roller blades for a while, and then it was like one time I remember we were at the roller rink area at the local one, and we're like, hey, let's try some roller skates. Yeah, that will be fun. And those were like. Like rollerblades are almost like those ones like, okay, you got to get used to them and everything like that, but they almost are, they're made to be skated on, where roller skates was just like this weird design of, 50-something years ago that it really isn't that practical. It's like almost like they need that next evolutionary step to finally get it right.
I just kind of had like Crush 40, like some Shadow the Hedgehog theme playing in my head as I'm trying
But even that, they had rollerblades, not roller skates.
Shadow, he's on roller skates.
Oh, he's got rollerblades.
I thought he was roller skate. Well, it doesn't really matter. They're hover boots.
He's got the blade. No,
Oh,
there's a big difference though.
I thought he was skating. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But anyway, so I was trying to get that down and it was working for a little while, but at some point I full on just flew down and just landed on my ass. And it's one of those things ever since then, it just hurts to sit. It's hurting right now. So it's like I don't know. I'm afraid I'm just gonna it's gonna be here for a few weeks. I go to a doctor, just like your ass is broken from the inside or whatever, So now it's
Jeez,
just like,
boy, I heard. It's like, so you were down the Castro getting a pounding. Is like, no. I was in Haight Ashbury skating. Yeah, that's what they all say.
that's the slang they're using, huh?
You little faggots.
Oh, get out there, you. Here, take this. Throws me a condom.
He's like, make sure next time you go out there, make sure you're the one doing the fucking.
Oh, God. Next.
You're like,
He didn't even you didn't even measure me out. I just come in, I tell him the situation. Oh, I've heard this 1,000 times. This is all good. Yeah, you were roller skating in here.
That's what all the newbies say. They're just too afraid to admit it. Come on, you're in San Francisco, boy. Be out of the closet.
Some guy walks in like, yeah, I got my arm severed. Oh, so that's what
done that before.
Arm severed. Like, no, it's literally that's what it is. Just supposed to use.
I will say though, like nowadays in life, I think about things like I think about roller skating and skateboarding and even skiing and all that stuff, and I go, I don't think I'll ever do that again in my entire life. 'Cause there just comes a point in life where you go, no, it's just the consequences aren't worth it. It's just there's too much pain, too much like suffering, and then too much chance of death. And then now I know that sounds like some fucking Woody Allen thing, like I can't be going skiing on the weekends anymore. It's like I just think about the trees coming at me and everything. I mean, Sonny Bono, he fucking died from it. How am I supposed to do this? Like that's almost like what goes through my head now as I get that, where I just get this fear of death from like all sorts of things nowadays. And I go, nah, not for me.
Well, to me, it's one of those things. Part of me always wished that I knew how to rollerblade or roller skate, one or the other, because I actually fuck ice skating because I've done that one time.
You want to be that
Can
guy that was like everybody comes by, it's like, oh, here comes old Dunigan. He's like skiing by and you jump up, fucking grind a rail and shit, flip off of it. There's some cool song, the Hedgehog's like song just playing. Nobody really knows where it's coming from, but it's just playing as you show up. And then you're like, hey guys, and you just kind of stand there like you're always moving. You're never like standing still. Is that the dream that you had once that you were waiting to get those fucking Sonic Adventure 2 shoes that
those
you could
soaps?
Yeah, the ones that you could grind rails with.
All right. So I mean, when it gets down to it, we grew up in the '90s and early 2000s. So we saw all that, we were there for all the. I mean, I'm sure there was some incarnation of it beforehand, but we saw the big organization of all the Tony Hawk, woo, yeah, like Quicksilver, like Quicksilver, the clothing brand, even though the character's cool. But you know what I mean? All that kind of real surfer, kind of extreme sports stuff. And then it was just like, wow, that looks really cool. Yeah. We were the first ones. I mean, I know that's always been there, but it seemed like it was really, really made bigger when
it was at its peak, I will say, in the late 90s, early 2000s.
And that
was the ultimate time period.
They started incorporating that into a bunch of other stuff. And I think that anybody from our generation, there maybe was, whether it was a month or to this day, at some point they were like, oh, wow, I wish I could do that. Now, I actually wanted to, I'm not going to lie, whenever we played hockey in the streets as kids, just by foot, I was actually pretty good. I was surprisingly good. It was one of the few sports I was good at. Foot hockey. But then when it actually got down to oh, you need a rollerblade or roller skate in order to get into, or ice skate in order to get into an official league of some kind. Just I couldn't get that down. So I was just like, what's the point? And I know it's kind of saying I was good at hockey, but I couldn't skate. I know that's kind of like saying, oh my God, I was a great water dancer. Just too bad I couldn't fucking swim. I know it's kind of like saying that, but it was one of those things I kind of wish I did, but I kind of was like, oh, I'm kind of getting it now, but I think it's too late to try and completely learn it right now.
Well, that's I love that line out of basketball where they're shooting hoops and they're like, man, we're pretty good at this. Yeah, as long as we have to run, dribble, or jump, I think we got a sport here.
It's exactly that, yeah.
That thing that, if it's just the shooting, yeah, that's totally fine. The second that you add in all the other elements,
and
hold on a tick. I'm going to adjust my mic really quickly. Right. Okay, I'm back. There we go. That's much like it. I was trying to fix it for our stupid, Pee Wee Herman contraption to record in. I forgot to change the settings on it.
I'm looking at it now. There's there's things on like spring hands with or thing on springs with like white gloved hands holding microphones going up and down, kind of like a whole Dr. Seuss thing.
That's how it was. I was surrounded by like 3 mics, like fucking getting ready to be interviewed for like the Republican National Convention. It was just like, why do I have so many here? And they're all black too, looking at me like, oh, ow, ooh, just like poking you in the face. What?
I saw a thing. I haven't really kept up to it. I think everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have that probably morning ritual on their day off where they just wake up and you're awake, but you like lay in bed for an hour just flipping through Facebook, Twitter, whatever.
Contemplating life.
Yeah, just
Oh,
wait.
I don't do that. Straight enough, I don't do that because my phone's always kept so far away from me.
That's smart. Well, I'll do that thing where I flip through like maybe for like 45 minutes to an hour, just Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And then I came across like the Young Turks, which is super liberal and super progressive, were at the Republican convention just covering, and then some super fucking, I don't know who it was. I don't really keep up with them. Bill O'Reilly's in Trump Rush Limbaugh, the ones that really stick out as far as reporters go. But there's some fat bald guy like, hey, if it isn't the Young Turks, hey, what do you guys think? They're right in the middle of their broadcast, and it was live. He's like, yeah, you're doing, yeah, we're kind of doing a show right now. That's great. Yeah. Like, what do you think of our, like, Hillary Clinton's a rapist shirts? What do you think of that? And then like, the guy who's usually.
Did you just say she raped sharks?
A rapist. She's a rapist shirt or something like.
Because if she raped sharks, I mean, I guess she'd be taken total control.
That would if Hillary.
If she was like, I go out in the sea and I fuck sharks. Ugh.
If she came out,
like, whoa,
if she came out with like a shark, like dragging a shark with a gag ball in its mouth and an S&M suit and it had this look of shame, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm voting for her. Fuck all that shit I said before. She can get some shit done. But
he's like, Bill, get over here. He's like, oh, Hillary, I'm kind of afraid of it. Bill, you get your ass over here. It's like, oh, geez, I didn't know Hillary was that manly. Fucking punching the shark in the face. The shark's like, Dad, just send me back to the ocean.
You shut the fuck up. You shut the fuck up. It's like in a headlock.
You know your place. I'm your dominance.
And then she's like, Hillary, 2016. She just drops the shark down. Then all of a sudden, Pantera's Walk starts to play.
She just starts fucking doing like the Phil Anselmo walk, just fucking going around, punching people in the audience.
Oh, you're talking to me?
I was like, oh boy.
Oh, you're talking to me? Walk on home, boy.
Oh, shit.
Oh my god.
It'd be funny if she just like went, just like she's like, fuck it. It's like I'm at the end. I got all this shit blamed on me. I just gotta go as fucking extreme as possible. This is the only way it's gonna fucking work. Is I gotta get the men back.
Says you fucked with the wrong bitch. Oh my god! If she did,
just goes up and just like choke slams this guy like dressed as Donald Trump like through a fucking table like wrestling style.
Dude, she would have my vote in a second if she did that shit. Because first I'm like, yeah, she's she stands for the usual, she stands for like just, I don't know, keeping things the same. In all honesty, I'd rather keep things the same at this point than go fucking Trump. I don't want to get too.
What's wrong with the Obizzle? Everybody's want to be down on the Obizzle now.
Yeah, and I like how now when Obama's about to leave, everybody's like, you know what, Obama's kind of cool. Once he's starting to leave, everybody's getting that way.
Yeah.
But I think it's just what happens. We'll look back on it. But yeah, no, the Republicans don't think that. Republicans still fucking hate Obama by all like measures and means and all that. But I remember like Young Turks being kind of hard on Obama, but by this point they're just kind of like, yeah, we've criticized him, but fuck, shit's bad right now. In all honesty.
That's funny. No, yeah, I just see little snippets of it throughout the day, but I don't know what it is. I think there's something about animation. Animation almost like keeps you away from so many like news and articles and things like that because you're like. It just takes up all this time. You're like, well, I'm just going to go lose myself in the computer. Computer, one stylus, a man. It's like purity. It's almost that thing when people ask you like, hey, so what'd you do on the weekend? You go anywhere fun, do anything exciting, take any time off? Or especially if it's like, oh, I did some animation. And it's just like, I think to the average Joe, it's just like, that's it? Well, yeah, it took up like 12 hours of each one of my days. Oh, that sounds horrible.
I think half the time people are really Oh wow, really? Okay, that sounds boring. The other half the time, people are like, "Wait, you know how to animate?" Because when I first showed some locals,
Well, guess what? I got this script. Oh, no, no, no.
there's that. Yeah, well, not even that though. I mean, like I remember when we
It's got werewolves in it. And you're like, ah, fuck, here we go.
and
I've heard the werewolf one.
aliens. Yeah.
It's so fucking original. You're not gonna believe it. Like, dude, you need me. You need me. It's like, no, I don't. I
Has
do not
anybody
need
ever told you
anybody.
that for the, like you need me for this?
Yes, they have. They really thought their script was full on legitimate. They just must assume that I only animate and shoot video and never ever thought of writing anything.
What? For,
I don't know why, but sometimes like that's how they come across. Like, dude, I've been like a writer at heart my whole life, man. Watched every DCU show. Come on, I know it. It's like, did you ever create anything?
well, I wrote it on a sticky note.
Because that's really like the breakdown between like I was talking to somebody else about this last week. I was kind of like, what makes, in a sense, an actual creative person and someone who just has an ideas is the thing is like, did you ever create anything, or is this just like back burner ideas that you've held on to, but you can't go from point A to point B and finish the whole process? I consider who the creative people actually are is the people that can actually take their ideas and finish them. The people that just have these ideas but don't want to do any of the work, I don't consider those creative people. And I don't mean that like in a negative way, but you know, because I come across too many of those people that have ideas. It's sort of the thing where people bitch about politics, but it's like, so you're gonna go down to Washington and do something about it? No. Then what are you bitching about? Really, seriously, what are you bitching about?
That's one of the reasons why I don't even really I try to steer away from politics for the most part. But there's so much of it going on right now; it's just hard to completely avoid it. But regarding the creative thing you were saying, though, in all honesty, if you haven't seen it yet, folks, we have a new cartoon up, the new Walabie the Rabbit. It's going to be in a
Oh yeah,
couple segments, and I'll say
spaced
this
out.
real quick, dude. Spencer, it says created by both of us, but Spencer is really doing most of the work here. I'm not gonna lie. The last one and last two, he's really been doing most of it. Even like, because I would do like most of the drawings, but even this one, there's like, oh, I didn't draw that. Fuck, I feel kind of bad. So.
Well, it's just that thing. Like I get an idea at night, and then I feel like if we were in the same studio working, it'd just be like, "Yo, Ryan, you want to draw this for me?" But when it's kind of like, "Okay, I got this. I could probably knock this out like in an hour." Okay, I'll just sit down and draw it, and then that just happens multiple times, and it's just kind of like, "Oh, okay," you know. And I think that's sort of the difference. Being that it's like the sort of the separation lines makes it kind of.
I'm not like, look at.
But yeah, check out. It's called Wallaby the Rabbit and the Bronson Boys. I know it's got a long title. I was kind of, but that's what we're going with.
And this one ends on a cliffhanger. They all kind of this is basically the first part of a little bit of a bigger story, and we will get to back to Drunk Batman eventually.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we'll probably start doing a little bit of Drunk Batman, maybe some I'm gonna say minute long segments in between maybe Wallaby, just to kind of get some stuff going with it, because people keep asking about the Drunk Batman stuff, and I'm like, you know what? We really got to keep going that, because we are the original Drunk Batman and Robin. There is no Drunk Batman and Robin before us. There was a couple like other parody videos that came out around the same time that kind of was like, "Oh, here's Batman. Look at he's drinking whiskey. He's an alcoholic." But that was about it. It wasn't like they had a storyline or anything special going on. So I'm like, we fucking own this Drunk Batman. And since it's a parody, we literally do own the Drunk Batman and Robin. So I'm like, we might as well utilize it. We were kind of at that point where like, well, we don't really own it, so maybe we'll just continue on some of our own original ideas. But I don't know. I just love Drunk Batman and Robin so much. I'm like, we got to bring him back pretty darn soon, even if it is just little teeny shorts building up to finish that like last run off.
Plus, we imply like Robin's going solo, aka Nightwing. Then on top of that, it's just oh, by the way, Darkseid is coming, and then it just like silence for 2 years on that. So by the time it comes back, people probably won't give a shit. But I think that people go back and like I think you get new fans that kind of look back like and build up to where it's at now. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I get like a comment at least every week to every other week or so that says, when's the next one going to come out? When's 10 going to come out? When's 10 going to come out? So clearly people are still watching it. And you look at the views and you're like, holy fuck, some of those ones got like 50,000 views on them. So it's like, it is. And then you look at poor Wallaby. It's like, well, he's only got like 2,000 views on
I think I can honestly say, though, I mean, this just becomes like, next 20 minutes will just be jerking ourselves off. But I mean, I honestly think that like Wallaby stuff's probably our better stuff, but I still really do like Drunk Batman. So, but yeah, we'll finish that up eventually.
Oh, yeah. No, I love both of them. And yeah, Wallaby, to me, I just love the hell out of it. I know that's like, well, it's kind of like, I know it's just kind of like, not mixed reactions. I think some people they really like it too a lot. I hear that, and then there's some people I just don't get it because I think it's just so fucking weird to some folks out there. But that's okay though. I like that. I love the weird reaction when people are confused about themselves. I feel like that's just as good. It's equivalent if you can get people to leave your theater, you almost did just as good a job as a standing ovation.
People like I notice when I show them that they usually either stare at it blankly. Like, well, I kind of thought it was funny the way how he was trying to pull the trigger with his foot while he had the gun in his mouth. That was kind of funny, but I was confused. So, I don't know, but then it's either that or people laugh a lot. It's one or the other. What's funniest to me, though, is because, we both write it. You voice Spunkles, and I voice Walabie. And what it almost becomes to a certain extent, not entirely, but almost, it almost becomes like I end up writing most of the Spunkle lines, you end up writing most of the Walabie lines. So it's kind of like here's some fucked up shit I want you to say, then you're like here's some depressing shit I want you to say.
These lines kind of remind me of you. I love how there was that girl that came up to you once, and then after you showed her the video, she was all, Ryan, you played the brown rabbit, right? You're like, yeah. Are you okay? Do you need some help? This is some fucking depressing shit here. Like she assumed that this is an autobiography. This is me. My white friend Rabbit takes me around to places I never want to go to and does horrible things.
Because of that, my girlfriend broke up with me. Yeah. Well, around that time, I just got out of a relationship too, right when that one came out. So I wasnwasn't totally tore up. I was a little sad about it, but I wasn't super tore up about it. But when that came out, it was like, really, Ryan? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? What's up? Sometimes people I'll make a very dark joke sometimes, and people don't realize it, a dark, depressing joke, not really getting my sense of humor. There's one time I told this to you, but I think I said this in the podcast. There's one time I went back home to visit my folks, and I got a bunch of stuff under the attic, and but there's a collection of just art projects and things from high school through college and all that. And my dad says, "Hey Ryan, you got a bunch of stuff down there still?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you mean all the art stuff?" Like, "Yeah, all the art stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, I thought you guys would want that, memories and all that." And I don't want that shit. and then I thought that was funny, but I told that joke to other people. It was sad. I thought that was funny.
Well, that to me just totally sounds like your dad. I think maybe that's why it's funny. So maybe somebody doesn't know your dad, then it comes across as oh my god, he must have fatherly issues.
No, I think it's funny as shit.
Dad, do you want to put this picture I drew of a rabbit up on the fridge? Fuck that bullshit. You throw that in the fireplace where it belongs.
So people just I just said that and it was just utter silence. It's kind of a joke, but it's okay.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Sort of still tied to Batman. Sorta. Going a few minutes back. Did you see did you get the Batman vs Superman Ultimate Cut?
Oh yeah. I was trying to think I'm like, what the fuck? I know there was a couple things I got that were supposed to be talked about. I did, and I watched it, and I know that this is gonna sound like we're sort of late because of the fucking digital bullshit that they're doing, trying to get us to double dip and then to take us poor Blu Ray buying fans and just putting us in the corner. But okay,
blue collar Blu Ray folk.
It's pissing us off. But so here's the thing: the Blu Ray one just came out, so to me it's still brand new. Whatever, fuck it. That extended cut, when I watched it, I was like, this is what they needed to show this in the theaters. Because I think it fills in all those little gaps, especially for Superman. Because there's really not a whole lot of extra stuff on Batman. You kind of realize that there's okay, we put the Batman stuff in there. But there's so many little things on Superman that I think would have fleshed out his character. Because for everybody who had a problem with Superman, because I'm totally fine with Superman. Strange enough, I'm the exact opposite where I go, okay, the little bit of problems I have with the movie are mostly on the Batman side. But Superman, I actually like him pretty much about 100% almost. And with this extended cut, I loved how it filled in so many of the things. Because there's always that thing where you're when the guy in the wheelchair blows up, and you go, well, why didn't Superman stop it? Well, the fucking extended cut explains. It's oh, well, Lex Luthor, he led line the whole thing. And it's all these little things almost need to be in the movie. I mean, I understand it made it 3 hours, so that's probably why Warner Bros. Oh, that's one less ticket we can sell a day. Oh, jeez. Come on, Zach. I think you got to cut it there. Oh. If Warner Bros. Is just
well, golly, fellas. I don't know. I
Yeah, it's like
actually
all that.
think I think this movie actually to some extent needs a third cut because I don't know what it was. I mean, I remember watching the first one and being able to the first cut and fine, and then the second cut, then watching this cut, it seems like a little too long. There's definite major information that movie needed that this one doesn't that this one has, but I think that you could almost just like it has also a lot of the little random filler scenes. Like even though it was kind of cool for a second, you see Clark going to Metropolis, not going to Gotham, and like interviewing people looking for evidence on the Batman, and he goes to like this low income housing and talks to like these two different people. There's like this great. You maybe saw him in the trailer. He's like, there's a new kind of hunter. He's mean and he's looking. He's holding up like a scratcher with Batman with the bat symbol etched into it, and like that was kind of interesting, but you didn't really need it. And there's like a lot of small things like that you probably could have taken out, but I think you probably still could have kept the thing like, oh yeah, he was in the lined wheelchair. The thing where what's her name? Where Lois Lane, Amy Adams was trying to find like the whole deal with the bullet and like basically Lois Lane's the one that discovers most of the stuff that they kind of needed to put into the movie.
Well, I just felt like when I was watching, I'm like, boy, this really fleshes out Superman's whole story to a point where I like all the actions that Clark's making is all totally realistic. I totally get it, and I mean, like I was already on board before, but I was kind of filling in the blanks myself, kind of like using my prior Superman knowledge to kind of go, okay, this here. But I could see as a new person coming into it, they're like, I don't get it. Why is this doing this? Why is this happening here? Because they're not filling in the blanks themselves. So this version, I mean, I'll say, yeah, maybe for somebody, if they're not really into Batman and Superman, 3 hours long might be a little much for somebody. But I personally, I already like the movie, like a 3.5 out of 4. This would probably put it like a 3.75 to me. I mean, I'm still going to give just that little bit of leeway of kind of Batman killing and a couple other things like that. But I really did like it a lot. And I think the extended cut makes it that much better, just like The Watchmen, just like Sucker Punch.
Well, like I still like the movie. I'm glad I got this version, but almost kind of like seeing the extended cut. I feel like I probably watched the theatrical because it is like 30 minutes shorter, and I could handle a 3 hour Batman versus. I could handle like a 3 hour Batman or a 3 hour Superman movie. But the thing is, like the first half of this movie, it is just kind of a lot of them. Like I don't know. I guess I kind of want to see more of their interaction with each other because I love the Bruce and Clark dynamic from the comics. And there's really only 3 scenes where they interact with each other. And the first 2 are fairly quick, and the very end, it's just like them punching each other most of the time. So, I still like the movie. Don't get me wrong, I like the movie more than most people, but I still think that like it was kind of like for instance, I didn't realize this. I heard people mention it. I'm like, oh, that can't be right. Then I looked at it. Oh, it is right. The Russian guy, that's KG Beast. They could have easily just thrown not a full costume, maybe, but something kind of looks more like KG Beast. You know what I mean? Maybe he doesn't have.
Huh.
But maybe who knows? Maybe that explosion. Maybe he survived. Next one comes back all fucked up, and that's why he wears a mask. Who knows? Maybe. But I just, I think the movie was. I could do a 3 hour movie. I just think that this movie, the stuff that made it longer, wasn't all that necessary. Like, there's some stuff you probably could have cut out. Like, in all honesty, even though it's shot well, you can get rid of the whole first 5-7 minutes of Bruce Wayne's origin because we all fucking know it by this point. All you got to do is you got to have one solitary moment where he gets back from like fighting crime, and then he's just a picture of Thomas and Martha, and you fucking know. Okay, yeah, that's all we need. Or he's just, or maybe, maybe
you could explain it like in like 15 seconds, like really, if you have.
Like, oh, that's Bruce Wayne. Well, ever since his parents died when he was a kid, he was a little sad. Oh, that's why it's weird he shows up to these events. I don't know, something like that. So it's like you don't got to have that whole, even though it's a well shot scene, and I give it credit for doing the whole like you see the you could tell he's a fan because even like what was it wasn't the Mask of Zorro. The which movie was it? Mark of Zorro. You see a poster for the Mark of Zorro as they get shot.
Except it looks like they're also seeing Excalibur too.
Starting Wednesday, so I don't.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So even if they did, it seems like a weird movie to take a kid to anyway. Excalibur. I know it's kind of it's like you think sword and adventure and all that, but Excalibur is like opening like, oh, this guy goes in and rapes this chick, and then later down the line, this one daughter, she like like basically rapes her brother with like an evil spell, and then he has to kill his son later down the line. It's just like it's a real weird.
Maybe
like,
it wasn't his parents that made him go crazy. Maybe it was that fucking weird ass movie they watched before they got shot. They got an early screening because they're the Waynes.
Dad, why did that guy? Why did King Arthur's sister fuck him? Then he kill his kid at the end of the movie. Well, son, bang. Answers. That could be the reason why. He just, people talk about Excalibur like, I can't go back, can't watch it again.
I just got those memories of my parents and someone getting raped all at the same time.
It's in Helen Mirren. It's a young, hot Helen Mirren, but it's still one of those things, just really awkward. It's like I liked the movie, but there's some things I just were watching like, oh, really? Okay.
No, but overall, I still think that extended cut though was nice. But yeah, there's scenes like that it has nothing to really do with the extended cut because they're all mostly kind of already in the theatrical one. That they are the kind of necessary things.
Well, I guess it's some of the stuff like there's the whole part where I noticed there's just a lot of those small scenes that are almost just kind of like bridging other scenes together. Just like, like I said earlier, Clark walking around Gotham, more stuff at the Daily Planet, which, it's not bad. It's just extra. It just kills more time. You know what I mean? Where I remember going to see this 2.5-hour movie in theaters, not feeling like it was 2.5 hours, just felt like, oh, okay, this is just by this point I'm used to like long superhero movies. This one just did feel a little longer to me though, but I still liked it. I'm still glad I got it. I was kind of hoping there was something more to it. I actually noticed that maybe it's me, but the whole part, the Martha part, when he's realizing, Martha. Mm-hmm. I want to say they extended that just by a few seconds because you see a little bit more of his. Because I remember the movies, he's like, Martha, why'd you say Martha? And then all of a sudden, that's when Lois comes in. It says, that's his mother's name. And then I want to say, maybe I'm wrong here, but I want to say the theatrical cut, it was a little quicker, where this one was a little longer. It's, what's that name mean to you? Why are you saying that name? And that's where he kind of.
Yeah.
It's because the way I took that scene is, it was like, it's not like, oh, we got the same. Our moms have the same first name. We're friends now. I took it as like, oh, you got a mom? Well, I'll even save the mom of my enemy. So, yeah, I took it as that.
Yeah,
and then Martha.
I just thought you were just some dirty ass alien this whole time.
Yeah.
No, it was born out of a fucking like vine or something like that. I don't know. Fuck. Like some space Martian thing.
And I think Martha just like caught him off guard, just like, well, what the fuck you saying, Martha? Why the fuck you saying Martha? But then, yeah, I still think that scene could have been done better. I think you could have just had them fighting, and then Doomsday rolls in, and that's where they have to put their shit aside, and then he gets
like rolls in on a motorcycle, like just over in the corner, like boom, 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 boom.
So,
boom, 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 boom. Oh, what's going on? Doomsday. Yeah, I was just born the other day, but fuck it.
That'd be more like Lobo.
Yeah, no, that's really is like a Lobo Doomsday.
Lobo is just the ultimate space dude. She just wants to go out to get laid, fuck some shit up.
Yeah, go to biker bars in space and so on.
Lobo. I know that they said they're gonna lighten it up in like in the next Justice League, which I'm fine with. Like, cause I think Man of Steel was too dark. I thought this one was just a little too dark, but because I just think Superman could have been more optimistic. That's all.
Yeah, and I mean, like what I like about this extended cut though, is by adding in all those extra Superman scenes, this does feel like, okay, this is, because originally it's supposed to be Man of Steel 2, and then after a while it's just like, you just see Batman like shoehorn himself in there, fucking like Walabie, or I mean like Spunkles. So in this version, it felt more like you were actually watching a Superman movie that just happened to have Batman in it. And I kind of like, that's what I really liked about it. I think going in as like thinking you're watching a Superman movie, and I know it starts off as Batman v Superman. I mean, Batman literally puts his name like, boop, right there at the top. Yep, right where it belongs. I know it's supposed to be your sequel, but you know what? They put me in it, so it's more important that I'm at the top. Like one of those kind of things.
Well, you could tell that, I'm not being, you've heard this 1,000 times. I'm not trying to be like every other YouTube critic or something, but you can tell Zack Snyder loves Batman more than Superman, because what's the main book he's pulling from? Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that it's almost equally pulled from, though, as well. Death and Return of Superman, also pulled from Flashpoint and so on. So it's got, mixed things going on. But, no, I do like that this one finally just feels a little bit more Superman-like, got more of those elements in it. And then even like I know that people going like, oh yeah, Superman's kind of dark in this one too. But I'm like, you know what? I really kind of traced it back to it's Superman had different parents. He had parents that were not very optimistic. Actually, both of them aren't. Like we keep thinking of Kevin Costner not being very optimistic, but there's a line that like Martha has in this one. She's like, you don't know them anything. Fuck them. You know what? They can all die for all I care. You're my boy. That's all I care about. You know what? Here, have a gun. Shoot the next one that comes up to try to touch you. It's just like, even it's like, oh, well, never mind both the parents. Like, instead of being like, like, oh, boy, I want you to make sure that everything's good and, go out into the world and, make everybody feel happy because goddamn right, it's God's way that everything should be a good place for people to live. And this one, they're like, no, fuck everybody outside. Why do you think we live down on a farm? Because we fucking hate people.
Yeah, I kind of get...
When your dad got his hero cake, he was like, good, I fucking hate the neighbors. I'm glad their house flooded and they died. That was how Grandpa Kent was.
Just love them hero cakes. Well, it was either you or them, boy. Here's some hero cake.
Bob next door always pissed me off anyways. God, he always came by like, can I borrow your chainsaw? Can I borrow your weed eater? Can I borrow this? Can I borrow that? Well, fuck you.
So you enjoy that hero cake. Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him. Make sure to tell your son that kind of story, too. I just feel like it's almost like the Kents in the Man of Steel universe. It's not that they're bad people, but they're just kind of like antisocial people. They really don't have that love, and I think by doing that, that's kind of what creates a Superman who's kind of like, I'm kind of confused. I want to do the right thing, but Ma and Pa always said, stay away from people. They are a disease that you don't need. Well, they want to put me in a private school, but I said, Mommy, I want to see what the other kids are into. Okay, you could just be here on the farm. We fucking wanted you to do, but okay, if you want to go to fucking school.
Gotta see the world and gotta make friends.
Yeah, fuck. Look, your dad doesn't have any friends, and he's much happier.
Like what? You're an alien boy. Who's gonna be friends with you? Exactly. That's what my dad told me.
You're funny looking. There it is. I'm saying it.
Well, what are you gonna do? First days in school. That's where he has the X-ray thing. Like fucking first day in school, he's got the X-ray thing. He's hiding in the closet like a bitch. Like what? Like they got the very like sweet scene with Martha in Man of Steel. Like son, honey, I'm here. That whole part. Like the world's too big, mom. They cut out the like what happens 2 minutes later. Like Pa Kent knocks on the door. Just boy, you quit being the fucking pussy. You get out here now.
He doesn't have superpowers. He's just, I don't know. His puberty kicked in early, I guess.
He's being a bitch. He's going through his period. Like slams on the door.
Because he's a little girl and he can't man up and work on a farm like I told him to. You know what he told me the other day? He wants to be a writer. Who do you know that's a famous writer that really actually made it? They're not real people.
I like was there this like very like angry, bitter scene you just had. That's that very soft piano. Da, 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 da. Like the hopeful, like optimistic theme.
And you just got Kevin Costner yelling at the top of his lungs. He's just like, he's doing the thing by making a bigger commotion out of it, and people are going to take their mind off of what's going on with Clark.
I guess in all honesty though, the main thing is like making it's not even. I kind of see what you mean. They made the Kents a little bit more cynical, but the thing is, the Batman versus Superman thing. It's like ultimate optimist versus the ultimate cynic, and I think that they could have made Superman less cynical. And I understand if he has like a point where he's doubting his beliefs. In the first one, Man of Steel, is not a dark movie to me. People say that movie's super dark. It seems darker. It seems like there's more at stake.
It's darker compared to the other Superman movies, I guess, by that thing. But compared to every other hero movie at that time period, I feel like it's just as dark as X-Men. It's just as dark as Dark Knight. It's just as dark as Watchmen. I mean, not even as dark as Watchmen. You know what I mean? It's like it feels like it's in similar tone. I mean, it's more in line with things, I guess, like Daredevil, and maybe not as far as Punisher, but I guess like that instead of being more like Iron Man, and I think that's why people think it's darker, because it's not like he's like cracking one-liners left and right and things like that. And I guess maybe that's what people.
One of the things I liked a lot about Man of Steel was it seemed more like where everything else is trying to be. Okay, this is a superhero movie, but we're doing like kind of a tech thriller, buddy cop version of a superhero movie. That's Iron Man. This is a superhero movie, but we're doing kind of a conspiracy theory movie, Captain America, which, those are all fine and those are all good. I mean, I think Captain America 3 is better than Batman v Superman, but I think
I know, I hate to admit it, but I know, but you're right.
But this right here, I think the Man of Steel, it was just trying to be a science fiction movie, and the guy just happened to have a cape. That's how I feel. Yeah, and it was trying to go for a big grand scale science fiction movie. And to me, it wasn't so much darker because it was a darker, moodier movie. It was more like, okay, he's like in Washington, he's in Oregon, he's in Alaska. He's just going to he's like trotting around America, checking everything out. And then at some point, just shit goes when it gets darker where it should be darker, where the city starts getting destroyed. By that point, it should start getting darker. And Collateral Damage, you've gone over that 1,000 times. We'll go over that again. But, I feel like that one, so I don't think that one's as dark as people make it out to be. Where Man of Steel, Batman v Superman is a little too dark. I think he should have lightened up because the world likes him, world accepts him for the most part. I think that, if it was I know
what you mean. Yeah, it's that thing. I think it's because the palette's a little bit darker. They don't have bright colors and everything like that.
Here's the thing. I couldn't tell the difference between Metropolis and Gotham City. I couldn't tell where they were most of the time.
Yeah, and here's an example of how you can kind of compare two things together. Take the Batman, the animated series, and the Superman animated series, and the way that they kind of change the palettes between Metropolis and Gotham. Gotham always is kind of painted on those black pictures and everything like that. It's a little bit darker. It's a little bit grittier, all this stuff like that. And then Metropolis always just feels like you're on like the perfect day to go vacation in Metropolis is every day in Metropolis. You know what I mean? It's got the perfect temperature. The sun's always out. It's bright. It feels safe. And I think that's kind of what they're sort of missing. It doesn't have to be like over the top like that, but maybe just to have a little bit more contrast, I guess, between, because it almost feels like both Superman and Batman could have came both from Gotham and it would have been totally like logical.
Yeah. I mean, I know they do the kind of the thing where it's like, like San Francisco to like, San Francisco to Oakland, or like New York to Jersey. They seem like doing something kind of like that. But I think that I think that like you look at the animated series and those both look like they take place in the same universe. They look like polar opposite views of life, but they look like they take place in the same world.
Oh yeah, they mesh perfectly together.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think this movie could have done a better job of that. But I think what's actually pretty smart, even though I do like Zack Snyder, what I think is smart, they're taking him off as lead creator head guy of all. He's no longer the Joss Whedon of the DC universe. Jeff Johns is they're getting someone who actually worked in the comics to like aim and kind of like oversee everything. Where Zack Snyder is going to be another director, and I think that works better actually.
Well, it's kind of weird because they've always had, because Jeff Johns has been there forever. I mean, like he's, you look at the movies, he's on Superman Returns, he's on Green Lantern, he's on a bunch of stuff, is always kind of there. Even Arrow, the TV show and all that stuff, you always see his name on there. And you're kind of like, that guy should be the main guy. That guy shouldn't be the guy you ask like once in a while, like knock on a door, open it up, he's like in a closet, like writing. Hey, Jeff, we couldn't really think of how to go about this one scene, so, what's your input? Like, they should just go like, no, have that guy. Pull him out and put him in the dead center of everybody, because we all know Jeff Johns knows DC better than just about anybody else.
They're basically making him the Kevin Feige of DC, which
that's smart, because it's like that's what they should have did 10 years ago. But because I think that's the one thing they're kind of missing is they should really just pull him. I know we said this before on another podcast. It's like almost if you want to direct like a perfect Batman movie, you get Greg Capullo to direct it and Scott Snyder to write it. And I know that they've never done movies before, but think of how many other movies have been made where somebody never did a movie before. That's okay, because you got everybody else around them that knows what they're doing. And here's the thing. I bet you anything Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo have a pretty good idea of like how all the movies and stuff's made. It's not like they're going to come in and go like, how did this camera work now? You know what I mean? Like, look at it. And it's just start poking it like, I only know what a pencil is. It's not like they're fucking, I don't know if like people think that like, people are like super close, like, oh, they're comic book writers. They're just like in there, like, do. Like, like they're fucking like retarded drawing like fucking Animaniacs like comics or something like that. Like, look at him, he's got pants on and no shirt.
It's like they write in like, "What's this? There are lights everywhere. What's this?"
Yeah, just like it's so weird and so strange. I'm wearing like a costume and I'm gay.
What's this? Dun, dun, dun.
And it's just, I think that's almost what they should do. It's just once they get past that mentality, it's like, oh, they're comic book writers. They're like the dogs that you kind of release on the bad servants that you don't want anymore. like once they get past that point where it's just like, no, they're the same as everybody else, and they probably are smarter than you. I think that would be the best thing to do. It's just really get, you get a good cinematographer and you get a good editor maybe, but other than that, you just have these guys fucking come in, or you do the Frank Miller thing where you're gonna have, okay, you got Frank Miller directing Sin City with Robert Rodriguez, so you got a director that you can trust more than anybody else out there in the world, and then you got the guy who actually created it right there at the same seat. Mm-hmm. I think that's like the smartest way you can do any comic book movie is the Sin City.
And he left the Directors Guild because they said no, you can't share directing credit with a comic book writer.
I don't even want to say it. I don't even want. It's the title that should not be spoken of.
Which the second one, I kind of already forgot it, but the first one really stood out and was really revolutionary.
And I actually bought the second one like 5-6 months ago, and it's still sealed.
Yeah, it kind of happens. Remember that time when you were a kid where you would just get a DVD, or not even a DVD, a VHS. You get a VHS, like, I gotta go. And if you didn't watch it that night, you felt really weird. Like you're missing out on something. You know what I mean? Even though it's there, you felt really weird. Now it's just like you can buy something and not watch it till like 5 months down the line.
Yeah, if not even long. Well, I do the same thing with video games, comics, books. It's just like I feel bad because it's like, well, it's like now it's like that point in life where it's like I got the money to buy it. I just don't always have the time to enjoy it. So it's like I'll buy a brand. I mean, there's like probably 6 or so PS4 games I have sitting there sealed. I don't even open them. Like the 10-year-old me would have opened that game on the way home and read the daylights out of the book. I would have known everything there is to know from that manual.
Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
And now it's like I just get a game and it's like put it in the corner with the other ones. I'll maybe play that game, I'm just buying this Resident Evil 5 and 6 on PS4. I mean, look, I already own them on Xbox 360 with all the expansions, but what the hey, I can buy it anyways.
I was going to say real quick, it was, when you remember, like you said, when you're a kid, before we talked about, like, you know what, they don't even have real instruction manuals anymore. It's just kind of like a little 2-page little sleeve almost.
You're lucky if you get the 2-page sleeve nowadays.
Well, I think I realized reasons why they don't have that anymore. I think a big thing, maybe I'm wrong here, maybe I'm looking too deep into it. When you're a kid, what was it you would do when you got when you got a video game? On the way home, you would be looking through the thing, looking at all the character bios, looking at maybe screenshots, getting yourself amped up for the game.
Trolls, the backstory.
You'd be looking at that shit on the way home as your parents are driving you. Good news, you could buy it yourself. Also good news, your parents don't have to drive you to get it, and if they do, rethink some shit in your life. But
either that or your life is really good, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. That's just fucking Alfred or something. But I think part of the reason is that like most gamers this day and age, like most of the bigger gamers, because I think that's the thing, people assume that this is a thing that's going to fade away with time, but they're like, oh no, it stayed around, they matured with its audience. So I think now they're kind of like, you know what? People look this shit up online, and they're probably not sitting in their mom's car on the way home reading the manual to Doom or Fallout 4. So
but here's the thing, though. It's not like okay, everybody under 20 stop playing video games. It's like you got to have a car to play video games. It's like there's always going to be that kid that's going to ride home, and I know nowadays kids got cell phones and all that stuff, so I do get it there. But I think it's more just like, you know how we can save a couple of nickels? Yeah, don't put a fucking book in there anymore.
I think there's that, but I think at the same time, people probably don't go to it because they probably just go to YouTube anyway, or they go online and look at shit. You know what I mean? I feel like people hardly do, and most of the people that would and could pay for a AAA title, that's usually, most AAA titles is there, rated M, I think that those would, kid probably wouldn't care to flip through the manual, or couldn't flip that manual. You know what I mean?
I guess that's true. I think it's more the inner collector in me feels like there's something missing by not having the manual, because you're like, I'm paying $60, what? And I can't throw a fucking manual in there? And I think that is more like what's bothered. It's not the fact that I actually need the manual to read. It's just that thing of like, you're spending $60 and they're going to cheapen out even more and give you also a shittier case. Because you know how like sometimes the cases get like weaker and weaker as time goes on?
If I'm going to spend $60, I want to know a fucking tree died.
It's just those ones. I mean, and I know nowadays it's not like it's that important. I like at least every once in a while when they give you one of those manuals and it does have at least one little thing. It's like, here's the controls, because that's kind of nice to have. I know that some games, you can pull them up on the screen and everything like that. But there is something like once you pop the disc in and you're letting the game load up, you can click and go, okay, that's this, and that. Okay, perfect. I know what's going on. Because nothing's worse than getting one of those games where you're like, where the fuck is the goddamn fucking controls? Like I loaded it because it was free, and I was like playing it the other day. There was like that Paragon or whatever the heck it was called on PS4, and it's the new Cliff Belinsky game, the guy who made Gears of War. So I was interested for that reason alone. I knew that it was kind of like one of these like weird online thingamajiggies, and I sound like such an old man. Like, this is the Old Man Orange podcast, and one of them old online thingamajiggies in the game, but
I don't trust them. They confuse me.
So it's like this game that, like, it's loading up on the screen, and it really looks like there's like 6 characters that do not belong in the same title, because there's like some cool like sci-fi looking guy with 2 pistols. There's like a lady with like a bow and arrow who looks like an elf. There's like this big brooding monster thing. There's a guy in the back that looks like he came out of Assassin's Creed, and so on. So it just looks like you got like all this weird shit going on, like one singular world. And the game comes up, and there's like no fucking story or anything like that. It just finally gets you started. It took forever to fucking load up. And then you just realize it's like, okay, it's some kind of like versus like red versus blue kind of game. I mean, the map looked fucking kind of like Gears of War anyways.
I mean, like, and, red versus goes blue, as it's like just it's a literally a red versus blue kind of game, or more of like
like
kind of humor, like
Team Red
kind of,
versus Team Blue.
Okay, so it's not like, you don't mean humor based or anything like that or stuff.
No. I mean, like, okay, before Red versus Blue, there was literally Red versus Blue. Yeah, like in video games. So it's just like that kind of thing. And I mean, I was like, where the fuck are the goddamn controls on this thing? Because I was like, what the hell is going on? There was like literally, I've never seen so much shit on the HUD. Like half your screen, there was just like words and all this kind of stuff on there. And it was like all these moves. And it kind of played like fucking Diablo, or probably how World of Warcraft played and stuff. And you kind of go along, you're like, oh, I'll just go and you hack and slash and you level up and you're battling little demon things. And nothing makes any goddamn sense in it at all, because it's like there's like no lore to explain anything. And it was kind of fun, and then the game froze on me twice, and I was like, probably won't play this again. Not Gears of War. So I hate to be that guy, but it's a game for somebody else. I'm totally fine with that, and I'm glad that he's making his thing. But it's one of those ones you're like, it's just not my thing. But I think the whole thing was like, it was like looking for the controls, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? Even though it was as simple as can be, but that's where those little manuals come in nice. Now I know this was obviously downloaded from PlayStation, but it's what you want. You want the goddamn controls. That's all I'm saying.
Well, like, just like the PlayStation just spits out like a manual once you download it.
Like a printer or something like that. Like that would be like
an old 90s printer, 90s. Like an old 90s printer with the rings on the side that
tear them off. That would be like a feature that would have been on like some like, okay, here's the Commodore 128. We got fucking a printer built into it. No need. You can literally print the manual out.
That's DLC from like 97.
Yeah, exactly. Another cool thing that kind of came out last week, I don't know if you picked it up, but this is, I really come to the conclusion, I think he's my all-time favorite comic book writer and artist. Good old Bryan Lee O'Malley is coming out with a weekly or monthly series, and it's called Snot Girl, which kind of was a weird title, but just including that, it has amazing fucking artwork in it. Even though he's not drawing it, he's just writing this one because he's working on some other book too at the moment. But the artwork itself, it looks kind of like it's in Bryan Lee O'Malley style, which I'm kind of glad, because you see a lot of art nowadays that kind of like emulates that. And that's probably one of my favorite looks. Even if it kind of goes like a little bit farther, that still works. So I always felt like Batgirl and Burnside, that kind of had like a flair of that.
It does.
Even the Damian one had that. The Black Canary series, while it ran, had that, even though I feel that the new Green Arrow one's kind of carrying sort of a similar tone. So I'm glad to see that kind of spreading, but this book right here, Snot Girl, it's kind of one of these ones which I realized that Bryan Lee O'Malley, every book he wrote, except for Scott Pilgrim, he always writes about girl characters, and they're mostly always girls, and like they always have like relationship things and stuff going on, which seems kind of strange when you think about it. It's like, okay, it's coming from like a man who's writing stories all about like women and all their life and all this kind of like almost like intimate details. But then again, I guess that's no different than Strangers in Paradise. Like I for the longest time, I thought that was a woman that wrote it because it said Terry Moore. I'm like, well, Terry's a woman's name. There's got to be a woman writing it. And then you finally get that one book that has a picture of him. It's like, oh no, it's an old bald guy on there. It's like, oh, that seems kind of creepy, but okay, that's still cool. Really good artist.
I'm looking at the artwork right now. It looks sort of.
It's got a cool palette. Like it's like green and yellow and kind of this like.
She doesn't have a runny nose the whole time, does she?
No, she just has really bad allergies, and that's kind of like what it's all about. And then like she freaks out like whenever she gets these bad allergies that happen to her and whatnot, and she doesn't want people to see her because it's this weird girl. She's in L.A. She's one of those like almost like online fashion girls who kind of does videos and things like that, and she's very, very self-conscious about herself. So if she's not looking good and she's not in the right state, she's afraid of this. And then when she meets other people who are better than her, she gets these self-doubts, which sounds kind of weird. Like, I mean, probably if it was the Bryan Lee O'Malley book, you'd be like, why would you want to read a book about some LA girl that has a bunch of problems? It's like, oh. Bryan Lee O'Malley wrote, okay, well, that makes sense. I get that. Yes, yeah. And it's just kind of her. And then, I don't know, there's kind of a spoiler at the end. It has this big twist in it, like, that, she's going through all these problems, and she meets this girl, and she keeps referring to her as, like, this is the cool girl, this is the hip girl, this is who I want to be, she's too cool for me, I can't hang out with her, and she has almost this running inner monologue, and then it uses things, too, like, she's texting her friends, and it kind of talks in that Frank Miller, like, where it's like, okay, how are the kids speaking today, kind of feel, which, that same thing happened in Scott Pilgrim and other books like that, too.
Does it have, like, without saying too much, does it have any, like, science fiction or, like, fantasy whimsy stuff to it, or is this all real-world stuff?
No, it feels more realistic, and then it just kind of goes dark towards the end.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out.
So check it out. Like I picked it up on Wednesday when it came out because I heard about it. It came up on like an ad on Comixology, and I was excited.
I'm curious to know what this one is because each one of his books sort of seems to be like a different period in like a different period in your life. Like Lost at Sea, I haven't read it, but I read the synopsis of it. That almost seems kind of like leaving, your teenage years to go into your 20s. Scott Pilgrim is about, just
early 20s,
just embracing, just kind of like going from being a fuck up to actually, all right, well, yeah, you're young, but you're not going to be young forever. So start getting your shit together and start fixing yourself. Where Seconds is all about, going into your 30s, like goodbye to 20s, hello 30s. And being kind of like, not everything has to be perfect. You got to have your shit together, but not been trying to make everything perfect. That makes everything worse.
Yeah, this one's strange enough. This one's like almost in that same vein as Seconds, where it's like another girl going from her late 20s into her 30s, and kind of like that. And what it sort of is, it's like someone her life is now on the down, like the pinnacle of life already hit. She hit 25 or whatever, and now it's always going to be a downhill ride from here. And that thing of like not accepting it,
just trying to relive it, that kind of thing.
Not really trying to relive it, but just afraid of not being like glamorous and not being perfect and not being like, who you are, and seeing people that are better than you. And it sounds such like an LA, California thing almost when you like break it down like that. One of the ways
if I had to guess, I've not read a single page of the book. You just told me the concept and I just glanced at like Google images and some of the artwork. If I have to guess, this is probably going to go the other way, because right now it sounds like, why are you going to have sympathy for someone who is just trying to follow this very like YouTube fashion, really shallow kind of thing. But at the same time, though, I can see it maybe possibly going the other way around, saying, no, fuck that. That's not what it's about. I can see him doing something like that.
And I think that's probably what it will turn out around, because there's only been the first issue, but you see towards the end that she's got more than just allergy issues and things like that. So it is kind of a cool one. And then she's got like friends, but she doesn't really like the friends. She thinks of them as all kind of being like idiots and losers and so on. So she's totally alone. She's one of those like material girls who, well, maybe not material necessarily, but like
it's very superficial.
Superficial, doesn't really almost like respect the world around her in a sense too. It's all kind of like self-centered, but then she wants to be kind of loved, but then realizes that almost nobody, she kind of knows at the same time. Like she realizes all these things, and it's just she doesn't want to like accept it. And maybe I think that's what it'll probably be. Like as this kind of goes on, she'll get to a point where she goes, I accept being this. I accept being older. I don't have to be this person anymore. I can, just live my life good. And that's probably what it'll turn out to be, because that's all Bryan Lee O'Malley stuff. It's always very like, what I like about it is it's always like really relatable. Even if you're not in the areas that these take place. It's like Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim, it was such a cool world, and you wanted to be in there. You wanted to go to Toronto. I even considered moving to Toronto after reading that comic because it was like, this sounds great. Why are we not there right now?
I get coins?
It's like, yeah, exactly. Just go around and start punching people like the game and everything like that, which I'm waiting for that fucking game to come on the Xbox One. But it's like, if you're going to release any of those older games, put that one on there.
Well, no, I can see what you're saying there. I think Scott Pilgrim, plus I actually read that book at a real important time in my life. But not, well, a real weird time in my life. I was really down. That was, I just got out of a different, from mentioned earlier, different relationship. I just got out of a serious relationship. Then I saw the movie, like, oh, that was a really good movie. That was actually surprised me. I liked that movie a lot. Then I read the book, like, oh my God, the book is way better. Not that the movie was bad. There's just only so much you can fit into a 2-hour movie, and that movie's still fantastic. But there's so much.
Well, the movie's like perfect, but the book just is like just that next step.
Yeah, and I remember just reading that book and just like falling in love with it, and just kind of feel like, just kind of, I know we kind of make fun of this word, like relate, man, like 90s, but like it was very much the case of that. And then Seconds, that kind of felt a little bit, even though it was like sort of like, even though Scott Pilgrim was more like 90s, like childhood stuff. Seconds was more of like, seemed kind of like, I don't know, like you said this before, kind of like a Miyazaki kind of thing.
Yeah, that's how Seconds felt to me. It was kind of like a girl in a Miyazaki world, but with a Scott Pilgrim feel to it too. And and these are the kind of books that I think that relating is perfect in this. I think when it's the relating and things that, like in Thor, I don't need a relatable character because he's a god. I look up to this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like in Transformers. I don't need to relate to a Transformer. I want to just see them doing their cool things, And I think that's what I kind of hate. I hate relatable things to people that aren't relatable whatsoever. And that's not a bad thing. To be totally unrelatable, that doesn't mean that, like, that it'll just never work. No, that's fine. Because you never are going to relate to a Transformer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it comes to stories that are just about life, then I think relatable stuff's great. You want that kind of in there. That's what makes Clerks such a good movie. Is because you can relate to those characters. No matter how old you are, everybody can relate to Randall and Dante because you're either one or the other or somewhere maybe in between, or you've known people like that. And that's good. That's what you want. That's what Office Space. That's why that's such a good thing. It's relatable.
I know you do a good job at something when you can take someone you do not relate with and someone you do not like, or a group of people you don't like. Like for instance, like Don John. We talked about this before. I'm not a fucking pro. I'm not. I don't. I'm by no.
I'm not from fucking New Jersey.
I'm not some Jersey guy that kind of goes out on a pussy hunt or nothing like that. I'm not that guy at all. But regardless, though, that movie still said a lot. I'm like, I can kind of, even though I'm not this guy and there's not a guy I'd hang out with, I like this movie and I like this movie with this guy, and I actually found some things I could relate about on this movie. Not everything, but some things I could definitely relate out to this movie. So,
well, then also I will say, because here's the
I
other
gotta be careful when I say that. I just want to say that I gotta be careful when I say this. I don't mean the constant porn shit. I don't mean that, but I mean just stuff in relationships, like some of the things they talk about relationships in that movie. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You can also relate to those kind of characters too. It's like you don't have to relate personally to it. But when I watched Don John, I just remember, like I think I told you that, like I think we saw it together. I was like, dude, that just reminded me a lot of Kyle, like our buddy. Oh, so it's like, in a sense, that's how it sort of related to me. I was like, oh my God, here's a guy who's like obsessed with porn and then loves women and all this kind of things like this. It's like, and he's working out and everything like that. It's just like, it was like, dude, it's like almost like, I remember telling Kyle, I'm like, dude, you gotta fucking watch this movie. This is your movie,
Did he see it?
I think he did.
And did he say, come back like, yeah, I was gay?
Yeah, that was fucking stupid. That reminded me of like somebody else. I'm like, oh no. No, I think I want to see. I can't remember actually.
Kyle will sometimes throw something at you like, dude, Under the Tuscan Sun was amazing. Oh, really? Oh shit. Yeah. I don't know if he did say that. But
it's got Martha Kent in it.
I know it has Martha Kent. I don't know if he did say that, but it just seems like he'll throw like some random ass movie at you like you weren't expecting.
Oh yeah, well he has like that kind of thing where one of his favorite movies is like Beauty and the Beast. Like, oh, that always makes me cry, man. Like towards the end there. But yeah, no, Snot Girl though, that book is really cool. I know the title sounds kind of weird, and almost even when I kind of explain it, sometimes it sounds like, well, I don't want to care about this character, but the artwork is pure amazing. I actually sat there, I read that book out loud to Laura, which sounded fucking weird because I was reading all these like these like 30-year-old girl speeches and so on, but like sometimes it's kind of fun. It's good practice always to read a comic book out loud. It's it's like practice for acting and voiceover.
Were you just like, just listen? Were you just like, just tell me how I'm doing? Was it like that, or how'd you?
Well, she was all like, she's like, that book looks really cool. How about you just read it out loud while you read it? It's like, oh, okay. Which is kind of weird to read a comic book out loud because it's not like it's got any words to explain what the hell is going on.
Well,
like a book. You're like, oh, and she gracefully walked through the door, and inside was a turtle sitting there with a book, sitting stern. So you start getting a picture, image, but like with this one, it was just straight dialogue without seeing what the hell is going on. So it seemed really fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, check out Snot Girl, and that's probably a good place to leave off. Got all sorts of fun things going on. But also check out Walabie the Rabbit and the Bronson Boys. Part 1 is what it's going for. You can find it on Newgrounds. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Vimeo. Actually, I don't think I've uploaded to Vimeo yet, but it will be on Vimeo. So if you want, take a look there. I'll probably try to put a link inside this podcast description just to let you know. But if you also want to help support the podcast, I'll put a link maybe for Snot Girl or something like that in there. Click on that. Buy the comic. Get it on Comixology. Something like that. Doesn't cost you any extra, but helps support the podcast a bit. Also, if you want to help other ways to support the podcast without spending a dime, you can always leave us a review on either iTunes, Stitcher, or any other place that seems to let us have reviews. I've also started putting the podcast on Podbean, and I want to get that kind of going because that will probably be the new central location over time for the podcast, because from there I can store a limited amount of goodies. Where Podomatic I couldn't store as much, but it's still on Podomatic too, so all kinds of places to check it out. So just getting that word across there. Tell your friends, share it, write us some nice reviews, send us some comments, send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what we don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.